want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no L's, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. I do not gamble, but bet on me. Tell them that's like, yeah, it's still love it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. I'm running the game now. Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and tonight we got to see our Cleveland Cavaliers even up this season series with the Boston Celtics 1-1. Let's fucking go. Cavaliers won by a score of 115-111 in a highly competitive slugfest at times. And like Michael Scoopska says down here, that final minute was agonizing. But, man, it feels good to get back into the win column as the Cavaliers entered this game, right, with a chance to drop down into a 0-3 skid. We did not want to enter that territory where we're having some sort of losing streak out of here after losing in back-to-back contests versus the Atlanta Hawks. But you know what? Tonight's win against a Boston Celtics team who has been the Cavaliers' Achilles heel for a long time. It feels good. It kind of washes away the sour taste completely from the back-to-back against Atlanta. As you guys know, this single matchup right here, this single matchup for most Cavs fans, including myself, right? This is the one that we all want to see, whether it's the regular season, postseason play, whatever fucking scenario you can toss at these two. This is the team that the Cavaliers have to beat. This Boston team represents the big bad in the Eastern Conference. They are the reigning champion. They are perhaps the most stacked team in the league, and they are the team to beat as far as playoff basketball is concerned. I think we can all understand that, especially in the Eastern Conference. And the Cavaliers, fresh off of those back-to-back losses against an inferior opponent in the Atlanta Hawks, were certainly facing a losing streak, a 3-game skid, and we avoided it in a big time, in a big way with Donovan Mitchell, man. Donovan Mitchell, say what you will about him, right? Whether he's playing hero ball or shot chucking at times, because he's definitely guilty of doing that. But the one thing we can never fault him for being is trying to give his all out in that court. And that's exactly what happened. Donovan Mitchell came in with 35 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 12 of 21 from the field, including 6 of 11 from the three-point line. And the craziest thing about it is that 30 of those points came, if I'm not mistaken, in the second half. Donovan Mitchell entered halftime with 5 points on 2 of 8 from the field. I mean, that tells you everything right there. He scored 30 points in the second half. He was not the only Cavalier that made the difference in this game, but he was the one who drove them to this win down the stretch. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved what we were able to do tonight on both ends of the floor. The shot wasn't falling at first. There were at least 3 different Cavaliers who were, they did 8 attempts at the end of the first half. Darius at 4 of 8. Evan, if I'm not mistaken, 1 of 8, and Donovan, 0 of 8, I think. Just not great. Not great at the start of the game all the way through halftime. But again, all things considered, they entered halftime with the lead despite the poor shooting. And you know what? I'll take it because the second half was something to behold. The Cavaliers would end the game as a team shooting 49% from the field, including 47% from three-point distance, and held this very, very dangerous Boston team who admittedly were without the services of Jaylen Brown and Derek White, two really, really great players in their own right. They obviously know how good Jaylen Brown is, finals MVP, right? Uh, this is the type of performance that should make the Cavaliers feel like they can compete with this Boston team, because it's not exactly like Cleveland is at full strength themselves. Still no Dean Wade, still no Max Strus. I feel good. I feel good. This is a good way to end the night to me. And I thought the coaching was phenomenal in this one. Kenny pulled all the right strings. He pulled guys when he needed to. He moved the ball around. I would be very interested to see the touch distribution from this one, because honestly, it had felt in those back-to-back games against Atlanta that Donovan had been given a little bit too much of the ball, and we saw hero ball come out at times. That just did not seem to be the case for many possessions tonight. Obviously, Donovan's shot started off kind of flat. I don't even know what kind of word you want to use to describe it, but he certainly ended the game on a streak. And I think that was good for him to see that. And you know what? To me, one of the better performances tonight, something that I feel really, really good about, Darius Garland. Darius Garland has often struggled against this Boston Celtics team. In his, if I'm not mistaken, in his 15 career matchups against Boston, he has only averaged 17 points, 5.9 assists, and 2.8 rebounds. And the shooting splits are absolutely abysmal for him in this matchup. This is just not one that has favored him throughout the entirety of his career. But you know what? He turned it around. And again, shooting, this matchup in his career, he has only shot the ball 38.7% from the field, 32.7% from three-point distance. True shooting percentage of 48.1%. And it was a minus 5.6 against Boston for the duration of his career prior to tonight. But he actually played some great defense tonight, for what it's worth. He often got switched upon for Tatum, but I thought that was an adjustment that Kenny made sometimes. And sometimes it just happened in the flow of the game. Sometimes there was just a switch onto Tatum, but I actually liked it. I thought that it worked. Putting the smaller man on Tatum at times in Garland, I felt that it actually worked. Don't want to see it throughout the entirety of the game, but it was definitely something that I felt gave the Cavaliers an advantage at times. Garland would finish with 22 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, was 5 of 12 from the field, including 4 of 6 from three-point distance, and 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. They're actually getting calls out there. Donovan Mitchell got to the line as well. 5 of 8 from the field for him. Well, 5 of 8 from the charity stripe from him. But yes, this is one that Darius Garland should definitely put in the memory banks and say, you know what? Boston ain't so tough. They're not so bad. I can do this. I can definitely go out there and play with the Bostons of the world, because I'm not going to lie to you. There are certain games against this team where I'm like, Darius, this is just not your night, brother. Just pass the ball. But tonight was not that night. I thought that he performed very, very admirably on both ends of the floor against this Boston team. And again, Donovan, you got to show him a lot of love after going into the half with just 5 points and then ending it with 35. Absolutely great way to close things out. That last minute or two was kind of horrendous, but and not horrendous on the Cavs part. It's just a lot of back and forth with fouling, and there's a lot of conversation that goes around out there about fouling when you're up 3 and not allowing the opposition to attempt a shot, but it's strategic. You got to do what you got to do. So the Cavaliers kept fouling the likes of Peyton Pritchard and lived with the consequences, and it paid off for them in the final minutes of the game. But yeah, it definitely made me feel like, especially with Boston's ability to shoot the 3 ball so well, you knew that at any given point, if you allow them that shot, it's a possibility that they tie that game up. So I get the fouling. This is a case in which it's completely justifiable. I mean, again, This is a team that puts up 50 plus triples a game, and they shoot very, very well from 3-point distance. And that was not necessarily the case for them tonight. They were just 35% from 3-point line, but they did attempt 49 shots. So you don't give them that shot, especially if you're only up by 3 very, very late in the game. Because at that point for this team, it's a one possession game, and they have some very, very good shooters on their team, even without Derek White and Jaylen Brown out there. When you're talking about Tatum and Pritchard, who is the NBA's leader off the bench in points per game, and Sam Hauser and Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, the list just goes on and on, but you do not give them that shot if it's there. So fouling them when you're up like that, it is the right way to go about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No, it doesn't matter how ugly it looks or, whatever your mindset is on that in general. From a strategic standpoint, it makes the most sense. All right. That said, let's hop into the chat. Double J says, as good as Garland was on Tatum, it was good to see Ice get assigned to him when Tatum was rising up over DG. I agree with you, right? Isaac Okoro is absolutely the better perimeter and point of attack defender, but there's just certain situations and certain matchups when it doesn't matter who you put on Tatum, especially in the case of DG, where he just literally has the size to shoot up over you, quite literally. Sometimes there's nothing that you can do. I mean, think about players like Tatum or Wemby. Wemby shooting triples at his size. There's sometimes just nothing you can do except for hope for the best, because the dude can literally just rise up above you by sheer length. But yeah, it makes you want to see Isaac out there for the majority of that matchup, but you can get away. At least tonight, you got away with having DG switched on to Tatum, and I felt like it worked at times. It did seem like DG made him take more often than not a tough shot, whether he was backing him down or in the paint or out in the perimeter. It did feel like DG was giving it his all on the defensive end. Double J also says DG made him take tough shots all game, but if he's hitting those tough shots, like need an Ice or Mobley to throw on him to force a miss. Yes. The Isaac Okoro block on him, I think you referenced that down here too in the chat. That was pretty damn awesome. Isaac, we know what he can do on the perimeter when D'ing up some of the best matchups in the game in today's modern NBA. And that's why you have a player like Isaac Okoro out there. Love it, man. Love the fact that he's making himself a valuable piece of this rotation, especially as a starter. And he only played 24 minutes tonight, but he certainly made him count. Momo says, just tuning in. Glad we bounced back. Don't want to see ATL again for a long time. Atlanta is one of those teams, especially with the wing size that they have, where it's just like, man, is this just a bad matchup from a stylistic, not even a stylistic standpoint, from a roster standpoint, right? Like the sheer length that Atlanta can trot out there with Dyson Daniels and, Bogey and DeAndre Hunter. There's just a million names on that. Onyeka Okongwu. There's a million names you can throw out off that Atlanta roster that it's just like, man, is this a bad matchup? But stopping Boston, to me, that it makes me feel better. It washes away the taste of losing back-to-back against Atlanta, because obviously this is the matchup. This is the team that is going to be in the Cavaliers' way all season long for that 1 seed. And to be able to go out there and earn a victory and tie the series up, these are the important games, right? We all know that. As far as regular season matchups go, this is about as important as it get, all things considered. With Cleveland holding just a half-game lead entering tonight over Boston, these are the types of games that can wind up affecting seeding later on down the line and going down the stretch. And getting home court advantage would definitely be awesome in these. So winning every matchup you can against Boston is certainly something that the Cavaliers should go out and try to do each and every time that they have the possibility to. And I'm not going to lie either. I was a little bit bummed that we did not get Boston at full strength, without Jaylen Brown, without Derek White out there. And I get it. Again, we still don't have Dean Wade. Max Strus has yet to play this season. But at the end of the day, this is to me, I want to play teams while they're at full strength because to me, that's when you learn more, in my opinion. You learn more about what your team needs to do to overcome certain situations. Because make no mistake, there will come a time when we do have to face this Boston Celtics team at full strength. And maybe it will come at a time where we're not quite at full strength ourselves, as we aren't right now. But I just can't wait to see. The moral of the story is I can't wait to see both of these teams go into a matchup where they're mostly healthy. The next opportunity that the Cavs will have to play Boston will be in February, on February the 4th. So hopefully by that time, Max is back. Hopefully nobody else has been injured. Hopefully Dean's good to go and the opposition have who they need out there too, so we can really see what these two Titans look like. Because in that first matchup on November the 19th, if you remember, Cavaliers had to play an 8-man rotation because there was no Karras, there was no Dean, there was no Isaac, no Max, nobody. And so we want to be able to have these two teams compete against each other at full strength so we can really, really see. But you know what? I'll take a W any way I can get it. So I'm not going to complain too much. I will take the W because at the end of the day, when you look at those standings at the end of the season, nobody's going to fucking care if they look at the December 1st matchup and Dean Wade and Max Strus and Jaylen Brown and Derek White didn't play. You care about the W because you want to be that number 1 seed. I'm just saying, I want to see these two teams compete while they're close to full strength. The real McCoy says, I don't know if they can, as of now, beat Boston in a series. Tough to say. I think there are definitely things that point to Cleveland having the ability to go toe-to-toe with Boston. But there are certainly things on Cleveland's part that they need to clean up. Like the perimeter defense has been a talking point all season long. And to me, I'll sum it up like this. It's not as if the Cavaliers are allowing the league's highest wide open attempts. Teams are just shooting the lights out on them, right? Sometimes there's absolutely nothing you can do about great shot making. You can defend the shot. Sometimes the offense just beats out the defense. And then there are other times in which the defense can be lackadaisical. There is not enough they're not quick enough in regards to closing out. The rotations aren't crisp enough on the defensive side of the ball, but I think things are going to kind of level out. So the conversation regarding the perimeter defense, I think it's going to die down as the season goes on. But tonight will definitely help as Boston shot just 35% from the 3-point line. So we'll have to see. In terms of competing in a 7-game series, I think they can do it. I think they can definitely do it. I think they are one of those rare teams out there that can actually match up with Boston quite well, especially having Mobley and Allen out there, because Boston can be exploited inside. And I know Mobley had a horrific game offensively, especially in the first half. But at the end of the day, I think that that's not going to be the case more often than not. You just have to give him the ball. Even in that November the 19th matchup, if you give him the ball, Evan can make things happen. You just have to be able to consistently get him touches. And so we've seen what he can do. As we saw it in, I think, was it game 4, game 5 last season in the playoffs? Mobley can attack the interior of that defense. So, and Jared Allen ain't no bum himself. So I think that they actually can match up quite well. It's all about the shooting. The Cavaliers have to be able to knock down their shots too. They did that, especially in the second half, but your stars have to show up. Darius, Donovan, Evan, all of these guys have to play at the best of their abilities, at the height of their game to be able to dethrone Boston in a 7-game series. But we still got 3/4 of a season left until we get there. And hopefully by that time, the Cavaliers will have locked up the number 1 seed and get home court advantage and get a favorable matchup in the postseason. And with the way that the East is shaking out this year, I don't know. Who knows who is going to be the 8th seed this year? Who knows who's going to emerge out of the play-in tournament and face the Cavaliers if they earn the number 1 seed? The East is competitive as hell. I don't know. Maybe, and I think I've seen this suggested a number of times already, maybe it'll be the Detroit Pistons and JB Bickerstaff. Boy, would I love that. You guys You guys know how big of a supporter I've been of JB. I wish him the best, but I would love to play Detroit in the first round because I would feel like the Cavaliers would have a decisive advantage over that Detroit team. But we'll see. We shall see. Melkman Joe says unsung hero of the game is DG for his defense at the end. Honestly, I felt DG played defense quite well throughout, not even just the end, but yeah, definitely down the stretch of the game, DG was locked in defensively. And make no mistake, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, they're both going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage no matter how impactful they can play on the defensive end because of their size, their collective size. They can be exploited, but as long as they're giving their all and they have the back line of defense, I think you can live with that at times. It will bite you in the ass depending upon the matchups. And Boston is definitely one of those matchups out there that can exploit you from a defensive standpoint in the matchup game. But tonight, I thought that Donovan and Darius held up pretty damn well. Double J says, I'm glad the defense looked again. I liked us forcing the ball out of Tatum's hand and get our ideal matchup while still recovering on defense when he swung it. Yeah, Boston is that team. They will pass. They will exploit as much as they can. They will try and get as many mismatches as they can. DG has been hunted time and time again, throughout the years. And that's fair. It's fair to say that. But tonight, DG got the better of them, and he held his own. But they always seem to find a way to find the open man out there. They had a lot of open looks. They just did not knock them down. The real McCoy says, I do think when the ball movement is ironed out, we can beat anyone more Mobley. Please feature Mobley more. Kenny Atkinson, if by some off chance that you're watching this, I know you're not, but by some off chance that you're watching this, please feature Evan Mobley more times. I know tonight was not his game. I know that he just could not get anything to fall in that first half, but I think that if you feature him more, you're going to find that the results are quite favorable. And again, this is coming off of back-to-back games against Atlanta where Mobley actually looked like the best Cavalier out there. So for what it's worth, you got to keep feeding the big man, and I think he will reward you in time. Mobley, if I am not mistaken, put up 23 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2.5 steals, 1.5 blocks, and shot 53.1% from the field in the back-to-backs against Atlanta. He'll be fine. Wasn't his best offensive showing tonight, but I would have to think that he's going to be okay. I'll tell you something else I was really going to be paying attention to tonight that kind of showed exactly as I thought it would be was Peyton Pritchard. The stat sheet will read 24 points for him, but he got a big boost from the free throw line at the end as they kept fouling him. But you got to give Pritchard his credit at times. He went just 3 of 10 from the 3-point line tonight, and just 7 of 16 from the field overall. But Peyton Pritchard is a damn good player. He is currently, if I'm not mistaken, the front runner for the 6th Man of the Year award. And yes, that is over the likes of Ty Jerome, who Ty only played 11 minutes tonight and scored 6 points. But Peyton, he's a real deal. And in matchups like this, Peyton's been doing some damn good stuff this season. I'm happy for him over there in Boston. I just hope that whenever he plays the Cavaliers, that the production isn't too high. And he would finish with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. But the best stat of all is an L. He left the building with an L. And I'll take that all the live long day. I don't give a fuck if he wins the 6th Man of the Year award. I would love if Ty Jerome or Karis LeVert, somebody else won. But the most important thing to me is getting that W. And we handed them that L tonight. And that feels good to me. Adam says, does Boston push off on every drive? I don't think that all of them do. I think that there are ones that stick out like a sore thumb, like Jason Tatum, that definitely, and Jaylen Brown can definitely be a huge proponent of that, even though he didn't play tonight. They have a number of players that do that. I've seen Peyton do it at times, but Jason Tatum is by far the biggest offender. The thing that comes to the biggest play that comes to mind in that regard to me is the push off against George Niang on the November 19th matchup. But yes, you see that from him damn near every game on multiple possessions. Jeffrey Lee says, use Luke Travers and Tyson at wing insurance, not guards. They fit the Wade, and LeVert rolls better. That's where our defense fell off when we're thin. Okoro does okay at small forward, but he's a shooting guard and unavailable last time. I think that you can certainly make a case to keep Jalen Tyson in certain matchups in the rotation. Tyson did play tonight, 4 minutes from him, but I take that as more of Kenny just kind to go deeper into his reserves than him actually being a part of the rotation with Isaac available, with Karras available. Still no Dean, so Tyson could probably get some minutes where he can if some guy is struggling out there, but I don't know. I just think that I don't think that Travers or Tyson are going to be real big pieces right now just yet. If Karras is unavailable or if you move Karras at the deadline, I certainly feel that you could probably make a case for Tyson getting the bulk of those minutes. And I do like his ability out there on the glass. And I think that he tries very, very hard on the defensive end. But with everybody who is available right now, I fail to see especially against Boston, I fail to see the real opportunities for either of those two just yet. I think they'll have their day. But to be honest with you, if I'm picking anybody who isn't playing right now to get an opportunity, maybe y'all think I'm crazy, but I think that JT Thor to me holds more of an appeal because of the fact that we just don't have a huge dearth. Not probably the wrong word to use there, but we don't have a huge amount of bigs available right now. It's George Niang or bust at this point in time. You can get away with Tristan Thompson in certain matchups, but Evan Mobley is already rotating with Jared Allen at the center. Evan Mobley plays a lot of backup five right now. But if there's anybody off that Cavalier bench that is not getting run that I would like to see get more run, it's JT Thor because he can give you minutes anywhere 3 through 5. His true position is probably at the 4, but he is versatile enough to give you minutes at both of the big positions. Well, really all front court positions, the 3 through the 5, right? So if there's anybody that could give the Cavaliers somewhat of a boost, I think it would probably be JT because there will be games inevitably in which George Niang just cannot knock down a shot and offers nothing from a defensive standpoint in many matchups and can be exploited in that regard. But I'll give George his props tonight. He knocked down all of his triples. He was scored 13 points in 22 minutes off the bench. And I'll tell you what, he takes a lot of shit. A lot of fans give him shit. I tried to do my best not to switch up on guys just after a couple of poor shooting performances and whatnot, because I think it'll happen throughout an 82-game season. But this, to me, still remains George's best start in his Cavaliers tenure. Probably the best start from an offensive standpoint, or really from an impact standpoint, that he's had in his entire career. So I'm going to try and give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a big matchup for him to be able to do that in and contribute 13 points on 4 of 6 from the field, including 3 of 3 from 3-point distance. And I saw the work that he was trying to put in out there against a very tough matchup in KP. And sometimes, just like we say with Jason Tatum trying to, being able to shoot over Okoro or DG at times, with a man the size and height of KP, what are you going to do? And we saw George go out there and try and put a body on him, especially in the painted area. And he held his own for the most part. So I got to give George his props tonight. The bench as a whole for Cleveland wasn't their best performance collectively, but it wasn't their worst either. Karras, 13 points, 6 boards. Niang, 13 points. Sam Merrill, although he went just 1 of 5 from 3-point distance tonight, his biggest value, the biggest threat that he gives the Cavaliers is the gravity, right? Teams know that they have to chase Sam Merrill around screens. They know that they have to be aware of his presence wherever he is on the court, especially out on the corners. And he's actually an underrated cutter. But I think that even when he does not have nights where he knocks down a good number of triples or he's efficient, I think the sheer threat of the 3 ball dropping on your head, it's enough to keep him to give him consistent minutes. And so even though he contributed just 3 points tonight against the Boston team that's very switch heavy, that puts bodies on you, they whack you whenever, they hedge, they do a lot of these things out there that are, I don't think it's gray area stuff when it comes to refereeing, but they certainly make you feel them. They do whatever they can, but the physicality that they are able to get away with, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it does not often favor players like Sam Merrill. But I'll give it to him, man. He takes the beating whenever he's out there. Double J says Niang clearly frustrated KP and almost drew a couple fouls from him as he got mad and pushed George back. Yeah, we all remember the game that George had against Bobby Portis, right? Remember that from the earlier portion of the season. And I say that like this isn't still early part of the season, but we do remember when George got inside Bobby Portis's head. And this is now another game in which George, he can, mentally, he can get to you. I don't know what he's saying out there. I don't know what he's doing, but he can certainly get to guys. Freddie B says gravity is cool. Made threes are better. Absolutely. I think we all want to see the Cavaliers knock down shots collectively as a unit. And from an individual standpoint, we would like to see players like George Niang and Sam Merrill and Elias Kokoro, Ty Jerome, who went 0-3 from 3-point distance tonight. We want them to knock down the shots, but the gravity at times can be just as important because it opens the floor for your ball handlers and drivers and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome, etc. But yes, we would like to see the shots drop more often than not. Cedric Taylor says, "Great win. Do you think our lack of depth at the 1 through 3 positions will hurt us in a 7-game series?" Personally, I think the Cavaliers have depth at the 1. They have Craig Porter Jr. They have Ty Jerome. Both of those guys can give you minutes there. I think they have depth at the 2. You can, Karis and Ty and Jalen Tyson, they're all interchangeable at that position, right? Craig Porter Jr., you can get away with playing him at the 2 in certain lineups. And you can't forget about some of the other guys on the roster who can give you minutes in those spots, right? At the 3 is probably where the Cavaliers, from just a pure size standpoint, have an issue, but you have a litany of guys who can at least give you minutes there. They just have to be healthy, right? Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, Karis LeVert, they can all spend time at the 3. Jalen Tyson, throw him in there. There are a litany of guys out there that can play the 3, that have played the 3 consistently already to start the season. I think they have depth. I think that they obviously need a taller wing out there, ideally, but they have the depth. I think the thinnest part of the roster, honestly, is the bigs. Right now, we're being tested on that end. If Niang isn't knocking down a shot, you're leaning on Evan and Allen very, 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 very much, because you're not going to want to enter a mini matchups with Tristan Thompson, especially in a playoff scenario. If Dean Wade isn't healthy, you're not really feeling too confident about playing Tristan Thompson in playoff minutes right now, if George Niang is not knocking down the shots. So I think 4 or 5 is probably our weakest position group, especially with Dean not healthy. Whew. Elliot Clausen says, "I may be wrong on a lot, but still holding on to Ja getting traded. Personally, I do not think that the Cavaliers are going to look to trade Jared Allen. I do not see it happening. I think we got to let that go. I think Jared Allen still gives them a lot of versatility, especially without proven depth out there. I think Jared Allen is still very capable of all-star level play, but there will be specific matchups in which the Cavaliers opt to have Evan Mobley out there at the 5. We'll see. Giles Strange says 2-3 switch, so plenty of depth. Yes. Tall wing is light. Yep. Agree. Elliot Clausen says we are fucking desperate for a starting 6'8 through 6'10 wing. Always have been. I can't read. Yes, we are. We need somebody like that out there. Can I interest you in JT Thor? I think JT can do that. I don't know. I'm happy about this win. There are certainly things that you can look at as areas of growth for this team. There are certainly areas where they can improve, but anytime you can beat a team that is the reigning champions, no matter how healthy or banged up they are, you feel good about it. Getting to back into that win column after dropping back to back against the team that you probably shouldn't have, it's even better. That said, as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out, you know I can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to the It's Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot of every review to It's Cavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you an invite. If you're watching over on X, do me a favor and hit that like button over on YouTube. If you're not yet subscribed to this Cavalier podcast so you don't miss out on anything Cavalier related. Hit that notification bell while you're at it. If you're on YouTube, do much the same. That said, go Cavs. Have a good night.